This might be the best story ever, man. Oh my goodness. I was working with my man, we'll call him Tim, yesterday. Just a legend. Lives here in Georgia, but he also has some land in North Carolina. And he's from Western North Carolina. And he's only not that much older than me, about 10 years older than me or so. And we're just talking, lamenting, white privilege and stuff. And because we're both white and we both have white privilege. And I was just sharing my story about, being on an island in Maine and, running out of heat. And just the whole thing's funny. But he said, "Oh, dude, I get up. What up you?" I said, "Okay." I know people can. So he was born, I think he's got like 3 or 4 brothers. I can't remember exactly how many. But I think his dad either died early or left. I can't remember. So is his last name Irish? I can't remember. Because like a lot of Irish men, they basically got drunk and they left their family. My dad's dad, my wife's dad's dad, the whole thing. But I can't remember if his name's Irish or not. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So his mom moved in with his grandparents to raise him. And they didn't have running water in Western North Carolina because there wasn't any run. I mean, the guy is just about 10 years older than me. I mean, maybe we're not talking 1920s here. And this is Western North Carolina, which is many parts of Western North Carolina are very uppity now. Anyway, and so he had to dig the hole for which they built the outhouse around. All right, that was his place to go to the bathroom. I said, yeah, we did have running water. He had to dig the hole for which he built his outhouse around. I was like, that is funny. And we got to talk, and I told him how I take a boat back and forth to school. The boat was my school bus and whatnot. Look, I look at it with nothing but fond memories. But during that time, I hated it. But you don't know you're poor. If everyone else is poor, you don't know you're poor. Well, he said, "How did you get to school? Thinking, walk both ways uphill and whatnot." He goes, "Well, I actually drove this school bus when I was 16. I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, man. Once you turned 16, you just drove the school bus." And his county had 500 students in their school or something like that. K through 12. I said, "You're picking up kindergartners. A 16-year-old coming to pick up kindergartners." I said, "That's crazy, man." Oh my goodness. Oh, and like that's just the difference between the South and the North, because the South, man, like my wife, even in the 70s and early in the 80s, they still had a paddle. The principal had a paddle where he'd rap you. You know what I'm saying? I said, we never had that in Maine, because we're Yankees. You know what I'm saying? It's cracking me up. Anyway, so my man Tim done very well for himself financially. He was busting his butt. All just fell into his lap. We showed his white privilege card and all his stuff fell in his lap. But his granddad lost the land because he couldn't afford the property tax. So he lost the land to the county. And again, this is in a pretty nice area of Western North Carolina right now. Back then it wasn't. But anyway, and so back then, remember, there wasn't work for people. I mean, you could put a deck on or something like that for granddad was a carpenter, so he could put a deck on for like a rich guy who had a vacation over in North Carolina. But there wasn't much permanent work. I mean, you raise chickens, you raise your own vegetables, whatnot. You had to do that because that's the only source of food you had. Anyway, so apparently his granddad, owned some land, passed down generations of memory serves, but he couldn't afford it, so the county took his land. I can't remember exactly what happened after that, but my man Tim said one of my most, he always wanted to buy that land back. You know what I'm saying? He always wanted to buy that land back, and he now has. And I said, man, what a great turn of events. And again, he didn't do it because it fell into his lap. He did it through good old hard work, man. Busting his ass, freaking working hard, raising kids, the whole thing. He busted his ass and he got it done. And it's America, man. It's the way we are. We just get things done. And it's sad to see many people in America not recognize the fortunes that we have and the beauty we have to do whatever hell we want to do in the United States. You want to be a rich guy? You can be a rich guy. Doesn't mean you will, but you can be one for sure. You don't have to be a Boston Brahmin, some white freaking upper class, crazy guy to get wealthy in the United States. Anyone can. You just got to have a little bit of luck, but also lots of freaking stick-to-itiveness. Anyway, it kind of reminded me of when I was, one time I was interviewing for a job when I was thinking about leaving USA because I was getting sick of it. And I thought I'd be a fundraising guy, and go into development. And I was interviewing with Colorado State University. And I'll never forget, this Spanish guy was interviewing me. And he was like, well, what kind of diversity would you bring in to the organization? And I said, well, I'm raised on an island off the coast of Maine. Is there anyone else like that? He goes, well, that's not really the diversity I was looking for. I was like, well, what are you looking for? He goes, well, a commitment to diversity. I'm like, well, I'm very diverse inherently, because you don't know anyone else raised off the coast of an island in Maine. You just don't, because there isn't very many of us. Anyway, but that wasn't, they thought being white is not diverse. And it just cracked me up. There's a great book my man Tom Wolfe had written, going back to Western North Carolina and the diversity that they're just amongst white people. So I Am Charlotte Simmons. If you haven't read the book, you should. It's fantastic. About this lady, some hillbilly from Western North Carolina who's just a great student. She gets into a fictional version of Duke, and she goes to Duke essentially, and she's meeting all these rich Southerners and rich Northeasterners who come down to Duke and whatnot, and she just doesn't fit in. She's essentially taken advantage of by some scumbag, and it's sad, but it's a great book. I can't remember how it ends. I haven't read it for a long time. But I think Thomas Wolfe, not Thomas Wolfe, the old guy, Tom Wolfe, had written. You need to read. The guy's just a legend, and he had written the book, The Kingdom of Speech, as well. The Kingdom of Speech is where he just destroys Chomsky, destroys Darwin. Just such a great guy. Anyway, the point being is, here comes Charlotte Simmons, white Appalachian lady going into Duke, and if you're going to say all whites are the same, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, dude. So whites inherently have diversity just like any other group of people does too, and it's just stupid that these people got so, and they're going to have a come up as all these woke idiot DEI people, and it's happening, but it's going to get worse too before it gets better for them, because they're just clowns. But it's amazing to me, the idea that there was a 10-year time frame, like white privilege actually meant something to people. Like, it actually was a legitimate phenomenon. There was white privilege. If you're white, you have it. Diversity, being white is not diverse. It's crazy. Now, with that said, dude, we got tons of freaking people from India coming over here and other places, even worse off than this guy. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these guys are coming here to crush too. It's freaking great. And it's almost like, well, you're a brown person from India. Do you know how many different parts of India there are? How many people, the diversity in India? Well, the Indians are diverse, of course, but so aren't white people, dude. It's crazy. So these Indians come here, freaking crush and take, not all of them, of course, not all white people. It's just every group has idiots, but they come here and crush. But they're all different. They're all unique. They all bring a different thing. That's why the individual is diverse. It's not the race. It's not the language. It's the individual that makes one diverse. The whole thing is, oh, you're all white people all think the same. It's so insane, and it's embarrassing. Anyway, I just love this story because it just shows you, dude, you can freaking dig your own freaking hole to take a dump in, and drive a school bus at 16 and still buy back the land that the county took from you later on in America. Because America is just a land of legends, dude. And that's all there is to it. All right, God bless. Love your thoughts. See ya.